Hey there guys, welcome to the video, and this session is going to be about data classes, so following on here with our OOP theme in Python 3. To show data classes, I'm going to compare it to a traditional class, and when I'm going to compare effectively what a data class version of this looks like, talk about why you might want to use it, and of course its limitations, its pros and cons, etc. Just before we start, I've just released my first Python notebook. It's called the Pythonistas Notebook, and it's 80 pages, and it comes with a handy tip on every page. I put a link to it down in the description, just in case you're interested. But without further ado, let's crack on. I've got a basic person class here, so as you can see, there's an initialization method here. So in this case, our person class requires a name and an age we passed in. Those are then given to the variable itself. So in this case here, John is our instance. We've passed in John the string, 25 as the age, and those are all set up. So if we just go ahead and just check this out quickly, if I just go ahead and do john.name, and let's just do john.age here, just quickly run that. So that all works fine. We can see that effectively all we've done is just create a really simple template for what we think a person looks like. We're just saying a person has a name and an age, and that's it. Now, there's many situations in Python, I've been in many of these, many of times, where we need to create a basic kind of template like this to represent an entity such as a person, an employee, an email address, a car, whatever it might be. And you might just want the template to represent something. You might not be interested in giving it loads of, lots of methods stacked in down here, etc. You might just want the template and that's it. That's where I think a data class can come in, because effectively it strips away all of this here and basically just says, hey, here's a really simple way of creating a basic template which you can use like this in exactly the same way. So what I'm going to do is I'll call it something slightly different, but just show you how we can build effectively a data class version of this here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say from data classes, there we go, import data class here. Now this is built in, so don't worry about having to pip install anything, it's going to be completely fine. And what I'm going to do, let's just get rid of this for a second, is just come underneath our traditional class, and I'm going to say at data class. So we're using the data class decorator imported from this here. And let's go ahead and do class, let's do employee. Okay, there we go, just like that. And now, effectively, this is where the cool bit happens. So whenever we create a traditional class, normally the first thing you do is create this initialization method to basically say, accept these things, and here's what you're going to do with them. Effectively, that's abstracted away for you by this decorator here. So what you can actually do is do name, colon, and just declare the type. So I'm going to say name is going to be a string, and what else can we have? Let's say role, yeah, that'll be a string as well. Let's just hit run, check we have no errors, and yeah, we're good to go. So let's go ahead and let's copy this. And let's say John is also going to be an employee. In fact, let's just be, it'll be nice and use different variable names. So I'll say Alice is equal to an employee. And let's go ahead and pass in the name as Alice here. Let's say she's a developer. There we go. Now what's cool, if I bring this back for a second, and let's do alice.name, alice.role. So the way I access the attributes of our traditional class and the way we access the attributes of our data class are identical. So when we hit run now, works exactly the same. It's completely fine. If I wanted to change something, so let's do john.age plus equals 1. And then maybe we want to do alice.role. Let's say she's been promoted and say she's a senior engineer. She's done very well. Let's bring this down a bit. Exactly the same as well. The actual way we initialize the class is exactly the same. We just say some variable, John or Alice, is equal to an instance of some class, so person or employee, and here's the things you need to make that class. The only difference is that this init part here is abstracted away for us. So whenever we go and create the class, it's done for you behind the scenes. You haven't got to worry about any of this def in itself malarkey. It's just done there for you. In terms of when you would use this over this, I would argue that it's when you're building a class that's really simple, is basic, and doesn't have many instance methods or class methods, I would say. So if I'm purely just interested in maybe giving some kind of templates to have 100 employees and I just want to access their name and their role, I would go for a data class any day. However, if I wanted to create maybe the employee class with, let's say, 7 or 8 different methods, I also need to use a static method and a class method, I'd probably go for this because it's a bit more comprehensive. I'll have a bit more control of what this does here. You can do methods with this. Let me just show you a quick example of one. So if I remove John here for a minute, let's just do down here. If I just go ahead and do def show name, call self. Let's have a look. And just do hi. I am. So I know it's not a very imaginative method, but just to show that it can be done. I'll blank this off for a second. Just hit run to verify there were no errors, and I can then just go ahead and do alice.showname. There we go, just like that. So you can do basic methods if you want as well, but I again, I think it's more personal opinion. If you're doing a kind of a more hardcore class where you might have 10 or 12 different methods, I would probably just go for a traditional class. But for these kind of simple use cases, a data class can be a real lifesaver. It can cut down on so much of this overhead of creating init. It's all done for you behind the scenes. Again, guys, if you find that helpful, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. But if not, have a good rest of your day and have a great week. Cheers.